morning, ladies and gentlemen, my friends in India, in England, in America, and all over the world. My name is Talakotur Raphael David. They call me TR affectionately. Why I wanted to appear before you today is I am having a major fight against one of the topmost corporations in America. That fight is going on 41 years, 41. Those who know the law, there should be discovery, there should be arguments, there should be trial, hearing. None of this have happened for the last 41 years. I am going through what we call a kangaroo court proceedings because the corporation I am fighting against is one of the spy agencies of the United States government and one of the best corporations in the world, AT&T. I have no ill feeling against them because these policies are carried out by the top management and its retired chairman, Randall Stevenson, who walked away last year with $77 million in benefits, while I am being denied my money due to me, for which I had contributed as a management and non-management employee during the period I worked for. Every law written on the books were violated, committed fraud upon the courts, one liar to the other. They used the judges as pawns in their game plan. They know how to fix cases in the courts. Unlike in India or other countries, where we may have a judge in a court or two, in America there are so many courts, and each court there are a lot of judges. So the scheme is played with the insiders picking which judge or panel of judges they wanted it. So the bottom line is I was illegally terminated in violation of all the laws in the invited presence of my wife, who is now dead, year before last. And they continue to argue I quit my job. Two different things. The employer is saying somebody with 4 children, then aged 3 to 12, and dependent wife and father, quit his job. They couldn't prove it. Then they did a lot of unspeakable crimes, which included bribing the trial judge, sending a woman to his home. They were meeting each other in private at each other's homes, and a lot of other hanky-panky. Once I exposed them, the judge abruptly recused and resigned from the bench. So since then, 41 years have passed. I am going from one kangaroo court to the other. So far, at least 80 judges have been involved in 19 jurisdictions. So I will answer any question anybody has so that I can explain to them in details how the scheme working. I am dying now. I am 83 years old. I can't get my money from this sucker corporation. They claim to be the widely held corporation having millions of shareholders. But once the world listens to me, they will understand who is telling the truth. This corporation never wanted a bench trial, never wanted a jury trial, which is a guaranteed right in the United States for anybody. So they don't want no trial, no hearing, no jury trial, no discovery, nothing.
Hi uncle, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you uncle?
I'm fine. What's your name?
My name is Sunil Jodin and I am living in Kerala. I completed my BTech in Mechanical Engineering in 2013. My dream is to settle in America. That is my dreamland. I came to know that you have around 40 years of experience in America. So I would like to hear your advice.
Well, your idea to settle down in America is commendable. America is a great country, wonderful people. I have nothing against the people of America. They are honest, law-abiding citizens, vast majority of them. But I have a major problem with the legal system in America and with the major corporations who treat their employees like cabbage. They use you and throw you out. There is no guarantee of employment. They can hire and fire as they please, and the enforcement agencies created by the Congress, they are partisan. They look the other side, as in my case. They may do one test case and to make the world think everything is rosy. So before you decide to go, it is not an easy way to get in there to begin with, regardless of your qualification. You may have a bachelor's, you have a master's, you have a PhD. There are a lot of restrictions. Now with the present situation, with the COVID and people getting killed, the situation may change. But before you, and for that matter anybody wants to go to America, they must hear me. A man with real experience, who have fought 41 years in the damn court system. The proceedings are what they call kangaroo court proceedings. So if you want to go, be prepared. But it is not the right time. The government of the United States should awake. They should hear the people. Otherwise, there will be mass killings, as is happening now. It is only a tip in the iceberg. There will be more problem, more revolution. The people should know what is going on in America before you plan to go. I will tell you my experience in America. I will want you to listen what I went through. So those who are listening from all over the country, all over the world, should understand whether I am lying or telling the truth, and how the laws that were made to protect your rights were literally thrown out. They don't care a damn. They get an expensive lawyer, maybe a crooked lawyer, and they know how to get the corrupt judges. That's the scheme. Don't think everything is honest in America. You can fix any case in American courts, any case. So if you suffer once you get there and run into problems like I have gone through, then you will say you don't want to go there. That's why I want you to first listen to my story. I am not exaggerating anything. May I say to you what happened to me?
Yes sir, I would like to hear from your real life experience.
Well, Sunil, right?
Yes.
Sunil, you have to listen to me. Not I am telling you a story. This is the real life situation I gone through during the last 45 years. I started living in America since 1974. 26, 28, 48 years. Okay? Although I was out of the country now. Well, let me tell you about my background. I was born and brought up in Kerala, and my mother told me I was born on July 28, 1940. I have no personal knowledge. That's what my mother told. Everybody is the same situation. You don't know when you were born. Your mother or father told you, right? In my case, I was born and brought up until the age of 17. I was taking my high school education from a place called Pavaratti. I recently went there. It's a huge facility now, huge facility. In the old days, it was a boys and girls school in the old days, before my time. Now, after graduating from high school, I went to Mumbai to look for a job. I studied shorthand and typing and all the things. And I got a job with a company called Air India. The salary then was 75 rupees a month. 75 rupees, which is today's equivalent to $1 a month. Not an hour, not a week, a month. But those days, that was sufficient. Eventually, I left Mumbai. I went to work in Delhi. I was recruited by an advocate by the name Sharma. I never met him afterwards. I went there and then I eventually got employed by a company called New India Assurance Company in Connaught Place, New Delhi. My job was as a secretary stenographer. While working there, I completed my bachelor's from a college called Deshabandhu Gupta College in Kalkaji, New Delhi. Then I went to join the Faculty of Law, Delhi University. We had what is called a 3-year LLB program introduced by the then Dean, Dr. Tripathi, who studied in America, I believe Columbia. So he had introduced the course. I was in the class. In the 3-year program, I had a minor problem with the employer in that they refused to pay me increments based on my graduation, because that is written in the union management agreement. Eventually, when I spoke to my law professor who taught me law of contract, he said, yeah, they have to pay you. Eventually, the employer paid me the 3 increments. And when the people heard about it in the company, which is all over, and they want to make me general secretary of the union. They forced on me. I have no desire to be a leader. Eventually, I was elected. At that time, Dr. I believe Mr. I forgot the name of the member of parliament. He was the president of the corporation. I'm the president of the union. And at that time, in the final year, I happened to meet a young girl by coincidence. And she is from a very poor family, had no money to pay dowry or whatever it is, which was the thing normally boys get from the girl's family. She was so poor. She was a nurse working at a hospital called Wellington Hospital in New Delhi. So my father demanded dowry. I said, I'm not marrying somebody for dowry. We had a fight, not fist fight, arguments. And we went to the Catholic, the priest. I told him the situation. So he persuaded my father, don't insist for dowry. To cut the long story short, we were married in Delhi, a church called Goldakana, who are familiar in New Delhi. And after that, she left for England because she had a visa waiting there to work. I'm talking in the year 1968. She was pretty, very, very, very beautiful, good looking. That's why I married her. She lived with me for the next 16 years. What happened in the meantime was, it is interesting to know, I went to join her in London. I worked for the British Post Office near Buckingham Palace, a place called Trafalgar Square, and other places. And 3 daughters were born to me. My first daughter, by the name Ashlyn, she has a new name, married name, Ashley Heiner now. She has her own children. Maybe she may have a grandchildren now, I don't know. We are out of touch for the last few months. And my second daughter is an actress in Hollywood. She still works in various movies. Again, my communication with them are all broken as a direct result of this corporation. This corporation means the company I was working then fired me illegally in violation of the laws. Okay. Now, I am moving because from one to the other, my memory is getting a little screwed up because of memory lapses. So if I am going off the track, bear with me. You understand what I am going to say or what I already told you so far. We moved from England to America. The first day of my arrival, I got a job, the very first day. But I had to wait until I get my social security number, what we call in India PAN card or Aadhaar card. But in America, you got to have this to get paid. I worked there for 6 months, and my immediate supervisor called me and wanted to know about me because he doesn't get my file. But what they did then, as they did always, remotely watch their employees. We had a robot there at that time delivering mail from one floor to the other, robot. I'm talking 1968. They remotely watch you, they can hear you sitting 5 miles away. That's the technology. They're a technological giant. After working there, my immediate boss by the name Jack Temple called me and said, Mr. David, we were very happy with your work. What job do you think you are qualified for? And I told him I worked in India as a secretary and in England as a post and telegraph officer. He also knew my qualifications. While in law school, I had worked for the retired Chief Justice at his home in the morning, early morning, like 8 o'clock. Then after finishing 8 to 10, I ran to my office. That was my routine. So, Michigan Bell, where I was first employed, my boss called me. He wanted to know all my background, which I told him. Oh, you would like to be considered for a secretarial position? I said, yes, sir. He sent me for a test. I passed the test in flying colors. I was sent to work for a male boss who openly said he doesn't want a male as his secretary. The company had at that time as many as 600 females as secretaries. The qualification required for the secretary is only 10th grade. But many of the employers then, even now, and will always be the case, use the woman for their sexual gratification. Although lately women resist and they sue them. So there are a lot of changes. Due respect to my fellow Americans, Indians, ladies, that is the pattern in America. They have all kinds of discrimination, not only gender discrimination, racial discrimination. There's a fight going on all the time between the white and the blacks. You must have heard about what is called the Mississippi burning. They kill the blacks. There is what is called a white supremacy group. They call KKK, Ku Klux Klan. Okay, so they got all kinds of problem internally. But the world do not understand this, right? Now, in my case, I am going to answer your question by giving my experience so that you can decide if you get an opportunity to work there, and all those who are listening me, whether it is a safe place, it's a nice place, it's a prosperous country. Nothing wrong with the people. The problem is who runs the country, whether they are trying to they are trying to avoid discrimination. Okay, that's the problem. So to answer your question again, this guy said he doesn't want me. He was asked to hire me by the central personnel because this company had signed what is called a consent decree with the US government. They won't discriminate. So what they are saying is, to the government of the United States, we don't discriminate. Here they are doing the same, just the opposite. This guy had no option but to take me. I worked for him 3 or 4 days. Then he said, I am not fit to do his job. He sent me back to the department where I was working. Okay. Sent the guys and girls in the hall where I was working. It's a big hall. 300-400 people sit there. They came to me and said, this is unfair. You file an internal EEO complaint. So when I went there, they won't take it because this guy is 4 levels above them. So the lower level management cannot go and investigate the top management. So they persuaded me go and file a charge with an agency called EEOC. That stands for Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They came, investigated, found the employer guilty of gender discrimination, ordered them to reinstate me and pay me compensation, which the company did. I don't know whether I told you earlier, when I was working for 4 other managers simultaneously, one is a German, one is a French, one is an American white, and an American black. All these guys found me way overqualified. The American guy suggested, Mr. David, I want you to go and take what is called a MAP, Management Assessment Program, which is for 3 days, in which they seat 20-30 people. They watch you remotely, maybe 5 miles away. They can hear. I was selected. I was found having 100 marks out of 100. But the employer wanted to retaliate by not even disclosing my test result. They don't tell you whether you passed the test or not. later on, after waiting 1 year, I gave a letter to the central personnel. They called me and they said, Mr. David, you got a top mark. That doesn't mean you are ever promotable. You are never promotable. I asked him why. Is it because I had filed a previous charge of discrimination? The guy was keeping quiet. So you cannot complain to the authorities. You have to suffer discrimination. And when you did it, they want to retaliate. You understand? Now, I filed a second charge of discrimination against the employer. That's called a retaliation. And by the time the investigation was going on, I was offered a job to work for this company's parent company known as AT&T. AT&T stands for American Telephone and Telegraph Company. Although the company has changed their names, they spun off, there was a lot of mergers and acquisitions since then for the last 40 years. I was sent there along with the 1,500 others to work on the defense of a case the U.S. Department of Justice had brought against this company because they were the sole monopolist. So, at that time, President Reagan stood for election and he solicited money from a lot of people. So, a Catholic priest by the name Donovan, he contributed to President Reagan's election coffers $600,000. Whether that met the election funding at that time, I don't know. I came to know this information very recently, last year. I was doing a lot of research. So this guy was touted by President Reagan when he became president. He was approved, consented by the Senate. He became the Secretary of Labor, a cabinet position. And as soon as he got in, he started changing the laws. He wanted to dispense with OSHA. OSHA means Occupational Health and Safety Administration. He wants to eradicate ERISA. ERISA means Employees Retirement Income Security Act. It means you worked for an employer, you pay money, they don't want to pay you back. They want to pocket it. So tactics. He did a lot. He encouraged child labor. They hire people and pay them 50 cents an hour. These are all illegal. Within a short time, he became very notorious. He was forced to retire, forced to quit his job. Donovan. He was from a broken family. He had 11 siblings. 5 brothers, 6 sisters. He went to become a priest first. Then he became a company called Shivoni Construction Company. So all latest information which I got it a couple of years ago. So what happened was, he is the one who forced the employer to terminate my services when I was working for AT&T. My title was legal analyst, and we had 1,500 others. 59 people from Michigan were also working there. Okay, they had an agreement to buy my home when I leave, They have an agreement to pay me termination pay if I am terminated for any reason. They had an agreement to buy me back my home in Detroit, Michigan. They don't want to do any of the things. They fired me in the invited presence of my wife. And they argued in the court, I quit the job. You understand? The employees' tactics. Because their tactics was, get rid of a senior person, not a senior person. I am not a senior person at that time. I was only 41. So they can get rid of you and hire two people, half the money. So they saved half the money, profit of the corporation, and they got two employees, young kids. That's the tactics of the corporation. They failed to live by their words. They kept me subsequently in the kangaroo courts. Kangaroo courts means a court where you can trade, bargain. How they do it? They fix which judge or panel of judges they should have the case. That's the way they manipulated the system. Randall Stephenson was the president who retired last year with $77 million as his benefits. I heard the Senate was questioning the large payoff to corporation heads at the cost of the employees. Okay? So, do you want to work in a situation like this? 41 years I fought to get an ounce of justice. I want the whole world to listen to me. The tactics they deployed, the tactics were so reprehensible. They first attempted to buy my lawyer. He was from Kerala, India. He is the one who argued the case of Indian Prime Minister Morarji Desai at the 7th Circuit in America. So he was a well-known person. I hired him. He filed a complaint, an amended complaint. I had filed the original complaint. He filed an amended complaint alleging discrimination, retaliation, and all the things. They tried to hire him, tried to pocket him by offering him a judicial position to be a judge in the federal court in Chicago, Cook County. I was sitting in his office for consultation, and at the time he was on a cell phone. The phone rang, his local phone. He told me to pick up the phone. It was from the Cook County bar. So I told him it's from the Cook County bar. He picked the phone. He said, I'm not interested. He told him 3 times, not interested. He hung up the phone. Well, they want to make him a judge to be on their list. Didn't work. Then they offered him cases to handle on their behalf. He said no. He was eventually murdered. I can prove this corporation was behind his murder because I came to know that 5 years later when I was in New York. He lives in Chicago. And I'm giving you the whole history because I want you and the world to know which was a top secret. We went through the court system. The judge was bribed literally. They sent a woman to the judge as home, and they had a good time. Maybe the corporation bribed the judge to have the case thrown out. He fell into their trap. Eventually, the judge admitted this in a taped telephone conversation consented by him. He called me on the phone. a sitting federal judge calling a pro se litigant to New York from Florida? Have you heard of that? Do any judges in the High Court of Kerala or the Supreme Court or State Court call a litigant? This judge admitted with a taped discussion. I notified the Chief Justice at that time, Honorable Warren Burger of the U.S. Supreme Court. As soon as Judge Warren Burger got this, he asked this judge to recuse and resign from the bench. Judge John Reed recused and resigned and went to work for another law firm. You understand? They kept me in the Kangaroo Court. He was a judge assigned to the case. He didn't conduct any hearing, no trial, nothing. He ruled, no discovery. He says, plaintiff needs no discovery. Have you ever heard in a court, one party gets everything and the other party gets nothing? The American system of justice. Now, to add further insult to injury, this crooked judge wanted to have the case to his buddy sitting in another place, 90 miles away from Orlando to Tampa. The court in Tampa had no jurisdiction over me. I had nothing to do with Tampa, except that I went there one day fishing with my children for half an hour. That's the only connection I have with Tampa. How can this judge get jurisdiction over me? It's a long story. The tactics they deployed. I can speak for hours. Would you like to go and work in a place like this? If you work, you married, you have children, one fine morning they fire you. You have no remedy. You have to go through these kangaroo court proceedings. In my case, now 41 years. I can go on how they accomplished their mission. Finally, this judge, his name is Terrell William Hodges. He is somewhere in Florida. He is not dead. Judge Reed died. He won't conduct the proceedings. You have to understand the name of the game here. And he kept quiet for 3 years. The rules require a judge to conduct and finish the proceedings within 3 years. I filed the lawsuit in 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. Nothing. So what the defendant was doing was planting a test case law. Okay? Now, a court in Michigan, a state court, not a federal court, state court, issued an order that the employee, another employee whom they fired by the name McDonald, must pay back the money they paid him. That's the name of the game. So, as soon as that judge issues a per curiam unpublished order, this company's officials bring it to the Tampa court and tell that court, dismiss my case because they had paid me X amount of money. They see the tactics. That's not the issue before the court, right? So this judge issues an order without any hearing, without any trial, without any notice. These are the procedural requirements. And his clerk alters the same on his own from a dismissal without prejudice into a dismissal on the merits. The purpose was to have the case go to the appellate court. If it were a dismissal without prejudice, the appellate court has no jurisdiction. You understand? So they played tricks there. They filed false papers. This woman, who was hired by them as their lawyer, came and argued the case accordingly, bluffing the appellate court. In the appellate court, there are 3 judges, which was most probably their own nominees. Well, there are maybe 26 judges. So they picked the judge whom they wanted. So they affirmed the court had no jurisdiction because the Tampa court's orders were changed by their clerk for money. The court can only hear a final decision. This is not a final decision. You understand? So, they played every kind of fraud. Oh, I can speak for days, not hours. So, I do not want to prolong the tactics. We will take you step by step in the next interview. All right? Would you like to go to work in America?
No, sir. After hearing your story, I am in a dilemma. I should have to replan my decision.
Well, that's the case with most people. I want the whole world to listen to me. Unless America corrects their grave errors. The judicial system must be revamped. See the fight going on? They want to appoint a judge. At the moment there is a judge by the name Jackson. She's being nominated by President Biden. We do not know whether she is going to be appointed or not. The fight is always there because whom they install in the Supreme Court, he or she has to interpret and apply the law, which many corporations do not want. That's the fight. So you can see, as the days go by, what is going to happen to this lady. Okay? Miss Jackson. People have high faith and trust in most of the judges. Sometimes they get the wrong person. Like Donovan was selected by President Reagan. He happened to be a mafia. Okay? So you can watch before you decide and the world listen whether you want to go and work in America. America is in deep trouble now. They can't pay what the Congress passed as an economic impact payment. But it was done 1 year ago. I haven't got a dime because they don't know my address. They are liars. You understand? They cook up things, find excuses. They got what is called, we call in India, chamchas. Okay? These are yes men. They accomplish the mission. They don't care a damn about you, your wife and children. They don't care a damn about me and my children. We were destroyed as a result of my loss of employment. We had a problem at home. The whole family was broken up. They tried to bribe my wife by offering her a commercial in a TV. Okay, which I came to know much later. This is their tactics. You understand? So that she's now dead. She had given her testimony before she died. They questioned her 3 days. Okay, that is in 1983. They couldn't prove that I quit the job. The employer's contention was he quit the job. You understand? It was on television, primetime television, newspapers. If you quit the job, will you go and stand in front of the camera complaining? So they have no way absolutely to prevail in a court of law. Okay, this is their tactics. Everybody affected has the same story, but they don't have the financial wherewithal or the knowledge to fight single-handedly. You understand? That's America. So I hope you will listen to my experiences. We will talk more about it, how I went from one kangaroo court to the other. So far, 18 different courts, 80 judges, at least my last count, have reviewed my paper one way or the other. 2007, I presented my case to the US Supreme Court seeking a writ of mandamus. Well, folks, I got a lot of things to say, lot of things. How they manipulated the system right up the Supreme Court of the United States. I've got a lot of things to say. So we will continue in answer to your other person's interview with me, how they accomplished.